Hello and welcome to another SH Figuarts review. If this is the first video you're watching, I've been doing a lot of videos or reviewing the Kamen Rider Den-O series Figuarts. The first video is the 4 basic forms of Kamen Rider Den-O, and then the second video is his final forms. Third video is Zeronos and New Den-O, and now this fourth one is all of these Imagins. And then after that I'll be doing a video on the Dark Riders of the Den-O series, as well as the Kamen Rider Den-O bike video. So please subscribe if you haven't done so already, or click the little bell button for notifications on those reviews. If you like what you see here, click the thumbs up button. If you don't like what you see here, click the thumbs down. Okay, fine, I guess. You also support this channel via Patreon or watching videos at block turned off. I'd appreciate either thing, but hey, thanks for watching. Without further ado, let's get on with these figures. As you can see here, I have the 4 basic forms of Den-O here, as well as Deneb. There was also a Sieg Imagin Figuarts release, but out of the lot of almost complete Den-O Figuarts, he wasn't included. Oh well. But still, we have a pretty good sizable collection of Imagins here. Bandai recently announced that aside from the real bone Den-O sword form and gun form, they're also releasing a fat form as well as a real bone version Momotaro. So that's pretty cool. We have Momotaros right here. This is the deluxe version that comes with all of this table and desk stuff, which is making me think, I mean, yeah, I do want the new real bone, like the nicer version of Momotaros, at least it looks nicer, but it's not gonna come with these train set accessories. So I'm thinking at some point, if I'm gonna sell off this Momotaros, am I gonna keep the table and stuff? So Urataros, Ryutaros, Kintaros, and whatever. It's also really cool that out of all these figures, only Ryutaros and Kintaros are Tamashii Web exclusives. Yeah, that means even this deluxe set Momotaros was not an exclusive, it's just a regular release. I think these days it'll be the other way around. Only Momotaros will be a regular release and everything else would be a Tamashii Web exclusive, which would make it a lot harder for people overseas to get their hands on these figures. So back then there were more regular releases, I think. We have all our Imagins unboxed, and they are roughly 6 inches. He's a little bit taller than 6 inches, or just about 15 centimeters tall. And just for size comparison, I'm just going to put Momotaro's sword form right there. These Momotaros has the fists already attached to his body, as well as a pair of sort of grippy open hands, a thumbs up Ole Sanju hand, and a right hand for holding his sword. He comes with this small cup of coffee with a bit of like weird colored cream on it, as well as this tray, and the cup itself has a little bit of black pattern painted on it. The sword itself is mostly just molded in this red plastic, has a nice gloss to it, the silver's painted quite nicely, and it has just ever so slightly a little bit of a give in the plastic. Some paper goods. There's a sign that you can glue onto this stick. You can add a string to this piece to hang around his neck, as well as these obviously fake sort of paper glasses things. And just for a nostalgic hit, here is a promo paper for Kamen Rider Decade products. Yeah, I mean, it's been just above 10 years ago, but this is a huge nostalgic trip. For product release and media stuff, 10 years is a very long time, and from back then till now, Figuarts has changed quite a lot. Actually, yeah, here just listing up a bunch of Kamen Riders as well as a tick list, so that's weird. I mean, not all of them had Figuarts or whatever. Shochaku Henshin line though, they probably had. So yeah, it's cool just seeing all of these. It's it goes up to around like the Hibiki stuff. That's sort of I think a special era for Kamen Rider where it kind of looked a bit different and the products were a little bit, the color scheme and stuff were also a little bit different, so it's kind of cool seeing this little booklet. I have a few of them lying around from different boxes. I just can't remember which toys or figures that these are in. So with this deluxe version, he also comes with all these parts for this train car table, so let's just put this together. That stands quite well. It does matter which way you plug it in, because there's a little bump in the peg that won't allow you to put it in the other way around. Chairs are a bit more stable than the table. There we go. Now we have a Den liner train car thing. So this one's a little bit wobbly just because of the shape and where the leg stand is. But yeah, it looks good from the top. You can have all like 4 of the main Imagin sitting against each other. That's cool. Taurus, aside from the fist already attached to his body, he also has a pair of sort of spray open hands and a pair of staff holding hands. He also comes with a cup of coffee, which is the exact same mold and paint job on the outside, and the cream itself just a different color, but also the exact same mold. I've also noticed that his hands are actually the same mold as Momotaros, except he has those little silver pieces that go on top and back of his hands. The staff itself is a hard-ish plastic. Don't bend it too much, it will probably snap. Molded in a light blue color with silver painted quite sharply, nicely on both ends of the staff, so yeah, looks quite good. Also comes with this card with another thing to hang around his neck, as well as a party hat that you can glue together. Urataros has the fists attached to his body, as well as a pair of gun holding hands, a pair of spray open hands, pair of relaxed hands, pair of I can't hear what you're saying to me pointing hands, as well as the V sign hands. And I just noticed that these hands are pretty much, and all the Imagin hands are pretty much just the standard sort of glove hand that you would have gotten with older Sentai and Kamen Rider figure art. He also comes with a pair of headphones. These have a little bit of pegs on them, so they can quite easily peg onto the back of his head, little bumps, and so they won't fall off easily, so that's kind of cool. Silver and black looks pretty nice and molded okay. Looks like a pair of headphones. As well as his weapon, this gun, which is mostly just a purple plastic. There's a little bit of black detailing on some of the lining and stuff, and tiny little silver dots here and there. And oh, the gun barrel also rotates, so that's kind of neat. Urataros has another party hat, a box of crayons, and his sketch pad. But of course, cutting out the box of crayons, it's still going to be a flat piece, so I don't know, if you do cut it out, maybe use it as a sticker on a 3D piece, maybe? Urataros has his pair of fists, a pair of open grippy hands, a pair of palm dynamic chop hands, and a pair of axe holding hands. And here is his axe in this weird sort of bent look to it. It's yeah, black plastic, silver and gold on it are painted quite nicely. Details are sharp enough, looks pretty good. Yep, that unpegs to plug into his hand. He also has a party hat, as well as this little drum set. Has his pair of fists, a pair of relaxed hands, a pair of pointing or shooting hands, and a pair of his item holding hands. And for his items, he has this kind of basket for him to put a few treats in there, which this figure only comes with this tiny little fan with a sticker on it, both sides, and there's a little bit of a peg in there, which I think is to help it hold easier on the figure. A lollipop with a peg on the stick there, nothing one side, on the other side it is again just a sticker. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, yeah, it is a sticker in the actual show, but for a figure like this, well, I guess as long as the sticker doesn't like fall off or anything, that's fine. We also have this weird watermelon head, which we've seen him wear sometimes, and you can just pretty much just slot this onto his head, and it's kind of cool. Soft-ish plastic, it's painted quite nicely. That's awesome. So between all of these Imagin figures, there's really not that many parts that are reused between them. I think all of them might have the same neck joint, or some of the joint pieces will be the same, but otherwise they'll be all different, and at least all of them are going to have different colors. The closest between each other is Momotaros and Urataros. Their lower legs and basic bodies are the same, with the only difference being the different armor parts that are, molded or glued onto it. So they still look very different. And in terms of just, profit per figure, I guess, these ones are lower because Bandai can't just, just copy all of them and just churn them out. Momotaros here, his coloring with the light red armor on this more crimson red coloring is pretty awesome. The belt dark grey, little peach symbol, as well as these little silver bits painted on him, also pretty good. His mouth is also painted quite nicely as well. The eyes, while no transparent plastic or whatever, have a very nice black gloss to it and does look pretty awesome. So the overall colouring of him is pretty decent. Tramp stamp on the back. But in terms of moulding, he is definitely on the skinny side, and his arms and legs do look a little bit longer than what they should be. But as a demon character, he gets away with it. Obviously, he's not going to be that screen accurate though, so which is where the new version is going to look so much better than what we have here right now. And by the way, he does have die-cast feet, I guess just to have more dynamic poses. But you can see here, he's got a hole in his feet. I've not seen that before in SH Figuarts, as well as zero boots or patterns or whatever, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe, I don't know, metal here and then plastic toe tips, but why do they have a hole in there? That's weird. The worst part of Momotaros here with his skinniness is his head looks stretched or way too long, and it's just not right. You can't fit a human head in there wearing this as a mask. It wouldn't work. Articulation wise, he is pretty agile. Head down, head up, sideways, full rotation there. The dumbbell joint for the shoulders. Arm goes up, down, full rotation there, full rotation here. double elbow joint, hand is on a peg and swivel, so that's a lot of movement actually. Torso goes back, forward, sideways, sideways. Notice that the torso does break apart a little bit when he's leaning back, so that's not good. Leg goes down, leg goes up, forward, back, sideways. And his little armor pieces on his upper leg will get in the way. Rotation here, double knee joint. Foot goes forward, foot goes back, and toe joint goes up. Toe joint doesn't go down, so a lot of movement there, and his joints are still very tight. I guess the previous owner didn't really move or pose him too much, so that's cool. Urataros there, since he's mostly the same as Momotaros, he's also gonna look very skinny in comparison. But once again, the dark sort of undersuit plastic compared with the lighter blue is a very nice contrast, and the black lining and silver bits all look pretty good. He also has toe gap widthness. Okay. And his head doesn't suffer as much as Momotaro's though. It looks a bit more round and less elongated, so that's cool. And by the way, his belt is away from the underpants area, so that's a nice thing to have as well. So head goes down, head goes up. Surprisingly limited movement. Can't look down that much. Something's just pushing against it. And the back of his head will, get this stuck, so it won't go all the way back. Dumbbell joint shoulders. Arm goes really not that far up. That definitely gets in the way. Shoulder rotates here. Full rotation there. Double elbow joint. And it's on a peg and swivel. Torso goes back, sideways, sideways. Leg goes down. Again, he must have not really posed this too much because all these joints are still very tight. A little bit of decoloration there. I hope that doesn't mean it's going to start falling apart soon. Double knee joint, foot goes forward, backwards. Very good articulation here. Whoops. That shouldn't pop out. That's the little ball peg on a swivel. Okay. I'm thinking of a modern version of Urataros. This shoulder pad here will be on its little ball peg and hinge so it can move out the way, just like a lot of the more modern Figuarts and what they've done. Next up with Kintaros, the head is made out of soft-ish plastic, so all these little sharp bits, they're not too painful to touch, and they're not that easy to break apart. His huge collar piece though, however, is completely hard plastic, which will obviously hinder his articulation by a lot. So again, I think a modern equivalent would have this shoulder pad on its own little hinge as well, just so it can move out the way, but this is what we have right here. His face looks way more evil than how he looks in the show. Just because, again, his head's all stretched, giving off that sort of Dracula vibe, this really sharp chin and nose, like an eagle almost, so not a fan of that. His little hairpiece is on a little ball peg that just sort of goes out the way, but, under certain poses it's just going to look awkward because it's still, like, it has no give, it's not going to drop down or whatever. So I'm guessing, if you have like a wire in there, it would make it more natural in terms of posing. The overall coloring of him is a bit bland for the most part. He just uses the exact same purple from top to bottom, so he's not as interesting as the other ones, just sort of a darker color. And he does have these little metal bits that are actually metal, like plugged into the figure itself, these metal rings. There's one on the bottom there, and another one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I really can't unsee it now because these are nipple rings. Just like, ew, what's going on there, ew. So whatever. And in terms of articulation, it goes forward, just doesn't go back, sideways, just ever so slightly a little bit. These shoulder pads, however, thank God there are joints on these because these move out the way. And I think this little ball joint, so yeah, they move all over the place. So dumbbell joint for an arm, and at least he can still move his hands up when you need it to. Full rotation there. Upper arm rotation. Double elbow joint only that far, and hands again are very limited because of his whole sleeve thing. They're softish plastic, but the joint's not going to push against that too much, so really not that much articulation for the hand. Torso is also very stiff. He can move back quite a lot, move forward, sideways, but he can't. His upper body can rotate a lot, but his bottom body not so much. The stomach doesn't rotate too much, mostly because of the underpants area and this belt thing seem to be glued down together to accommodate all of these his robe pieces. So and for the back robe you have this really ugly hinge there. It's very obvious and it's not even that tight. So yeah, again the modern day equivalent would be that this robe would be just plugged into the belt itself, or maybe have a hidden joint underneath. And these pieces also have little hinges that move out just ever so slightly. Front pieces as well, they're on little hinges, but they're not as noticeable as the one on the back. So a leg goes up, back, sideways, quite a lot of movement there. Full rotation here, and comes down, goes up. Double knee joint, but yeah, the armor does get in the way. Foot goes forward, back, toe goes tippy toes, toe goes up, so a lot of movement there, and I think his feet are on a ball joint. Now Kintaros here, he's very different. He's a very bulky character, but his hips are still on the small side, for God's sake. But yeah, here he is, and the whole black and gold coloring is pretty awesome, nice contrast, and he also has die-cast feet, which by the way, Urataros and Kintaros did not have that, so that's unfortunate. And but his feet also has little toe holes in there for some reason. That's just weird. It's that way of Bandai, like saving just a little bit of plastic money. Who knows? But despite how bulky he is, he still has all the Figuarts joints and movements and stuff. And at first glance, doesn't seem like there's any articulation hindrance or whatever. His jacket is a soft-ish material, but the way of how big and bulky it is, the back is pretty hard. So just a little bit of flaps on the front there. So head goes down, head goes up. That's actually quite far. Sideways, sideways, full rotation there. Horn is a soft-ish plastic, so it shouldn't snap that easily. Arms are on their regular dumbbell joints and stuff, but let's see, this feather bit does move out the way, so there's a shoulder pad on a little hinge. So his arms can go up that far, so that's unfortunate. Just trying to think like if his arms will rotate with it. No, this sort of just moves, but it doesn't move out the way. It stays there, just rotates a little bit. That's weird. Upper arm rotation there, and double elbow joint, that's quite good. And hands on the ball peg and swivel, also very good. Let's see, now the torso here, sideways, so that's quite good. Rotation there, and it goes back a little bit, forward just ever so slightly a little bit, so he doesn't have as much stomach movement as the other ones that we've looked at today. Now his underpants area and the belt is like molded into one, and then after that the joints here seem very loose, so he's probably someone that's been posed quite a lot. So leg goes down a little bit, up, down, up, back, sideways, double knee joint, which looks like an axe there, that's cool. A lot of axes all over him. And foot goes, can't really bend forward because it gets in the way, but it bends quite a lot back. And let's see, sideways and sideways quite a lot. Then toe goes up, toe doesn't go down. Finally, Deneb here. The coloring on him seems a little bit faded. I don't know if it's just mine or all of it's like that. He also has die-cast feet, by the way, but no hole in his, well, not like the other holes, but no hole like the other ones. And I don't know, his coloring just seems very dull. I'm also not a fan of these bits there. They look way too plasticky and don't merge or meld well with all the other robe pieces. These are just regular hard plastic and feels kind of like cheap, to be honest. And I would love like a bit of a matte shine to it. Now I know it is kind of shiny in the show as well, but here it just looks way too plasticky, and same goes for the rest of his upper torso armor as well. And it doesn't really go too well with the sort of more matte metallic finish of the upper torso. The head chrome there is kind of cool, kind of nice right there, and the eyes and face mask also done quite neatly. And moving down here, these pieces are, he's got the robes sure, but this one's on a single hinge, the back one's on a single hinge, and again you can see it's on a double hinge, but that looks again quite ugly, just is very obviously a hinge. So yeah, and this joint here, it goes up but goes this way but doesn't go the other way, so whatever. And these two pieces, they're not on ball pegs as the first four, they're on a little hinge and swivel. So yeah, ball pegs would have been, I don't know, peg and swivel is probably better. So in terms of articulation, really not much for the head. The whole collar thing just gets in the way. Very hard plastic there. So I can look down a little bit, look up a little bit, sideways, and yeah, it still has half rotation almost. It's can you go all the way? Yes. Well, it still has full head rotation, I guess. Shoulder pads on just these ugly hinges. Dumbbell joint for the shoulder. Full rotation there. Full rotation here. Up. Double elbow joint. Hand is on a peg and swivel, I think. I don't think it's a ball joint. Well, it could be a ball joint. Torso goes quite far back, sideways, full rotation there. And then, like I said, these were on little hinges and pegs and swivels. See, leg goes down, leg goes up, forward, sideways, double knee joint, foot goes up, down, toe goes up, toe does go down ever so slightly, and a little bit of left and right hinge for the feet. Both Imagins are pretty cool in the show, and having all of them, while I don't have the Zig one, all of them being released as Figuarts, it's a pretty awesome thing to have, especially if you're a Deneb fan. And I'm thinking that even if you're not like a Deneb fan, but you're just a general Kamen Rider fan, you could at least have Momotaros as a character as well. He's pretty cool. In terms of the colouring, all of them are pretty decent except Deneb. He's caused a little bit off and it caused a very plasticky feel to him, so I'm not too much of a fan of that. He just looks, I don't know, not as good as the other ones. The best one here is probably Kintaros, just because of his bulkiness. Colour variance between the black and the darker gold is pretty cool. And the black plastic with the gold contrasts pretty nicely and it looks pretty good. In terms of molding and sculpting, he's also probably the best right here because of his more bulkier size, and he just overall, and all the other ones just look overall too skinny, too like stretched, and just look a little bit off. But the upside is that because they're Imagins, they're like demon creatures, they sort of get away with it looking like this. It's slightly less humanoid in their scale and body proportions. But once again, the worst offender here is probably Deneb because his hips is way too small. And the second one is Momotaros. For the most part, he's okay, but his head is way too skinny and just kind of looks off. Like one of the things, if you like the Imagins, I imagine for me, one of the things about the Imagins is when I look at Momotaros, I always see his face because he's always doing close up at the camera, like, oh, what's going on? Like, or his angry face, like angry expression. And so if there's anything that's wrong with his face, it's gonna stand out a lot for me, and it does stand out here with this Figuarts, which from the looks of the new version of the figure, it looks like they've sorted all of that. So great. I think in terms of accessories, if you don't get the deluxe Momotaros, all of these ones do have not just enough accessories. In terms of hands, they have just enough, but of course Urataros have a lot more hands because it does a lot more like poses and stuff. But for all the other little bits, little cups of coffee, their weapons, as well as some of the lollipops and stuff, I think they come with a good amount of accessories for its time, and for now they're still good enough amount of accessories. You can definitely see these Figuarts being stuck into the smaller box designs we have today with all of our more modern Figuarts, and they probably have the same amount of accessories, but maybe minus the coffee cup. That would be a bit sad. And of course the accessory with the deluxe version of Momotaros is definitely a nice touch as well. If you were going to get a Momotaros today, I definitely recommend getting the DX version for that extra table as well, because it's a pretty, I guess, important part of the accessory. And then, you know, you go ahead and print out paper printouts or whatever for the rest of the train to make yourself a very simple and effective diorama. The little paper card cutout pieces are a nice touch, I guess, but those are kind of thick card, so bending them, warping them might be a little bit on the hard side, but hey, you can probably just scan them and apply them to something else and make your own accessories with those. A bit of a nice little touch, but I don't think it's necessary. It's cool that it's there, but I'm not really going to use them. So, like I said, probably just copy them. And finally, the articulation of these figures are all pretty decent for its time and still pretty good today. You can definitely do a lot of poses with both. Despite some of their weird armor shapes and sizes, you can still do a lot of poses with them, and that's great. But once again, do beware the underpants to upper leg joints. Those have a tendency of getting weak or getting loose, and that's something that happens with a lot of these older Figuarts, so that's something you have to bear in mind when picking up an old figure. So if you're a Deneb fan, I do recommend still picking up these Imagins. I mean, yeah, the new version of Momotaros is coming out, but I don't think Bandai's going to go and release all of the older Imagins in the new figure line. So see which Imagin you'd like to pick up and which one is your favorite, or pick up all four up. They're not that expensive anymore these days, and I recommend them for any Deneb fan out there. As always, take care, have a nice day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now.